We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 380 of the New York Knicks Show, part of the almighty Baller Network, and new to Dash Radio. This intro is just getting longer and longer.
New to Dash Radio, brought to you by... We should get some sponsors to make it even longer.
By Menon.
By Menon. By Pizza Hut, where we have neither a pizza nor a hut.
So I am Jay. My co-host, as always, is Mark. For those of you who are listening for the first time, welcome to the show. We do this every week. We do not claim to be professionals.
We are not professionals. We provide no real facts. This show is pretty much joking about. This is basically the goal is that it's kind of like your friends joking at a bar about the Knicks, getting most facts wrong about the Knicks, but having strong opinions despite their completely inaccurate facts.
Yes. So it's more like just a hangout. It's supposed to be a fun show. If you want deep analytical analysis of advanced stats, there are plenty shows that do that. So we figured we'd do something a little different.
If you want analysis, we can't even spell it, so you don't come here. But we want to talk about so the Knicks, the season, the playoffs are underway, and for that, the playoffs are underway, and for the Knicks, that often means what are the players watching on Netflix?
So we like to make a game, spot the ex-Knick on actual playoff teams. I feel there's one on almost every single team. It's crazy.
Usually the Knicks are in the playoffs, just not as a team.
Yes. The first ex-Knick to go home, can you guess?
The first ex-Knick to go home, would that be Copeland's on the league? Is Copeland still in the league?
He's not on Indiana anymore.
Okay, so who's on Indiana now?
Kevin Seraphin.
Oh, Seraphin. What happened to Copeland? Did he? Is he going back to make more Predator movies?
Seraphin was actually looking pretty good in the playoffs too.
Yeah, well,
of course. I mean, a lot of the ex-Knicks look good. I mean,
yeah, it's helpful to be on real teams. That makes a big difference. There are lots of. Do you want to talk about Derrick Rose? He was at the playoffs, not in the playoffs.
Yes. He wanted to see what the playoffs look like.
Yes, he was in attendance at which game was he at?
I believe the Memphis-San Antonio game.
Yes. So San Antonio, you're getting a max deal for Derrick Rose. It's happening to him, San Antonio. That's how we're going to ruin you, San Antonio. We're forcing a max deal upon you.
Like they would ever be that dumb.
You know, if they did do that, he'd never be injured again, and suddenly he'd play defense.
Right, exactly.
Do you think? So Rose, I was looking somewhere. They said the NBA plus minus for every player in the league. They had their plus minus on and off the court, and Derrick Rose is ranked like in the mid 350s for where he is plus minus. Like that's towards the bottom end of the league of players plus minus. Basically meaning that generally he's a negative as far as points for and against when he's on the court, just based on the general math of how that works.
Now, I'm no big city statistician, but I'm willing to bet being 350th out of 400 is not good.
Yeah, I think there's something like a little over 400 players, and he's towards the bottom. I mean, anyone who wants to knock Melo's defense, Melo's much, much higher. Most of the Knicks are much higher than Derrick Rose. My question to you is, he played on all those Bulls teams. All those Bulls teams had an awesome defense. Every year they had a great defense with Thibodeau. And I obviously understand Rose has lost a step, clearly. I mean, he still gets the basket really well, but he's lost a step from the injuries. He's a little bit older. Do you think there's a possibility he goes to another team next year and his defense does not look as bad as it looked on the Knicks? Like, do you think it looked extra bad on the Knicks for Knicksian reasons?
No, he was... By pretty much any metric, he was one of the worst in the league last year on Chicago under Thibs.
No, well, Thibs wasn't there last year, and it's Thibs, isn't it?
Whatever. He was
You're changing the pronunciation of his name?
alternative facts. Anyway, last year he was one of the worst in the league.
Right, but Tibbs wasn't there. Why were Tibbs there? Did he not look like such a bad defender?
Probably
Like,
because
what
he had
what happened?
well, he had 2 fully functioning knees. That helps.
But the last couple of years he did not. And the last couple of years he did not play either.
Yeah, the last couple of years he was one of the bottom in the league.
Yeah, I mean, do you think his defense, if you have 4 guys on the court that play defense, his offense could be good enough that you're okay with it?
If it was a few years ago, yes. He doesn't do anything anymore. He drives,
Yes, he drives.
and that's it. He doesn't.
He's the best driver to the basket we've had in a while.
He doesn't pass. He doesn't rebound.
We've got to pretend he can do stuff because we're getting him on a 5-year deal. You know that.
Probably.
What are the chances you think he's coming back? Look, realistically, do you think Phil is
25%.
this insane?
Yes, 25%.
25%. That seems
It should be 0. I mean, 25% is insane.
I mean, he played a decent amount of games, but he was injured and had a decent injury at the end of the season. He left. He didn't show up to a game without telling anyone, and his assist totals were not where you want them to be for a point guard. But he could drive to the basket.
Pay that man.
Yeah. And in a real question, so just talk about Phil a little bit. Phil had a press conference. We talked about it last show, and he seemed in the press conference to be basically in the flashing neon lights saying Melo must go, right?
Yes.
I mean, more or less, he was like, Melo, you should try to play on a winner, not here, get out, please leave Melo. Oh my God, you got to leave Melo.
I mean, when you say he would be better off on another team, that usually means you don't want him on your team.
I mean, he said enough that the NBA Players Association actually issued a statement to say that what Phil did seemed to violate league policy, or at least that they were saying that a player cannot, while he's under contract, say he wants to play for a different team. So a team president shouldn't be allowed to say, while a guy's under contract, we want him on another team.
You know what also shouldn't happen?
What?
That having to be explained to your team president.
I mean, yes. So here's a question. So Phil has always been adamant about the triangle, right?
That's that's a slight understatement, but yes.
Right. He seems to be. All indications from the press conference are that he wants to do more triangle, not less next year, right?
He wants to do all of the triangle.
All 3 corners. Do you think Phil blames Melo for the triangle not working?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you think like Phil has in some way in his mind that if Melo would just have listened to him about the triangle and gone along with it, the triangle would have worked great, and these would have been 3 very good years.
Absolutely. Phil clearly doesn't blame himself for anything.
I really get the sense that like part of the reason he wants to get rid of him is he feels like Melo's the problem with the triangle, and then when Melo's gone next year, we'll be good.
Well, I mean, this is a guy who doesn't believe in 3-pointers, so. I mean, he said during the press conference that Porzingis got a cheap. I'm glad Porzingis didn't get a cheap point by shooting a 3.
Did he highlight some game that Porzingis he was impressed by that Porzingis played where he didn't shoot a 3?
Yeah, and to look at today's NBA and not appreciate 3-pointers means we're not going to really go very far if that's the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a team that was built on the 3 that won a title pretty recently. And Cleveland also shoots a lot of 3s. Also, everyone shoots a lot of 3s these days. The Knicks were ahead of their time when they in that 54-win season when they were shooting like 3s like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this trend will go backwards? Like, there's always trends and like trends change in the league.
Yeah, but the 3-pointers. I don't know. It's an extra point.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with this is that once it becomes a trend, players keep like younger players, they're coming in the league, they're practicing the 3 and getting better and better at it. And back in like 5, like in the end when Antoine Walker and Paul Pierce shot a million 3s for the Celtics, it didn't work because they just couldn't make a lot of the threes.
Right.
And
They
now
did make
that-
one conference finals, though.
Yeah, no, they went pretty far. But if you have a team, if you have players, more and more players that can shoot 35, 40% from three-point land or even higher, it seems like a shot you can't go away from.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you can do it right, it's a more efficient way of scoring a lot of points.
Well, I think there was a belief. I mean, the line was when's the line come in the late 70s, early 80s? I have no idea. We have no real facts on the show.
It was Larry Bird's rookie season.
So 83, 82. He's your favorite player. What was his rookie year? You got to be kidding me. He's your favorite. you love him. You love him more than your girlfriend.
Anyway,
What is his rookie year?
1980.
Are you sure about that? Did you look it up? What, you were Googling it while I was talking?
No,
Oh my God. You really don't know what his rookie year is.
81.
Okay. Anyway, no real. This is how unprofessional a show is.
This is a perfect example.
For people that don't know the show, Jay has like the greatest like man crush ever on Larry Bird. They should do like a romantic comedy where it's Jay and Larry Bird, and Larry Bird's like, "Who are you?" and Jay's like, "I have a podcast. I love you." And you don't know what his rookie year. Anyway, my point really with going with this was not to make fun of Jay. I mean, it's always to make fun of Jay. But when the 3-point line first, what were you gonna say?
79.
Oh my God. When the 3-point line came in the league, the whole thought was that it's not a great shot because it's just it's a less efficient shot because no one's gonna be able to make the 3-pointer with a high enough percentage efficiency to make it a shot that's worth continually taking. Like you take a couple a game and that's it. You don't take 40 a game, which is becoming like teams are now doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now when people, I guess with like a Steph Curry proves that you can actually hit a lot of threes, then the players coming up really practice it and they get better and better at it. And then you have I don't see how the trend would reverse itself.
Right.
It's almost like baseball before Babe Ruth, the home run wasn't a big thing, and a lot of people didn't hit home runs. Then Babe Ruth was like, "Hey, we can hit home runs. They're worth a whole run. We don't have to run the bases." And the people were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And they keep hitting home runs, and the baseball changed forever.
That sounds like not true.
What do you mean? Before Babe Ruth, the home run was not a big thing in baseball.
People weren't trying to hit home runs before Babe Ruth.
The record for home runs for before Babe Ruth was like 20 home runs.
Yeah.
It wasn't like people weren't trying to hit home runs, but no one really did. It wasn't a big thing. Like, it wasn't a big it wasn't. Guys didn't go there and go like, we need to hit home runs to win this game. And then Babe Ruth started hitting home runs. They're like, oh wow, you could hit a lot more home runs than we thought. Babe Ruth revolutionized the home run, and we can get multiple sports completely wrong.
I feel like that was a horrible example.
You don't. I feel like it's almost the same thing.
Okay.
Before Babe Ruth, the home run record
I
before
think,
Babe Ruth. Hang on.
I think they just weren't good at hitting home runs because they were all drunk and out of shape. They were like smoking cigarettes on first base.
That probably was true also. I don't know where it is. I'm not going to look this stuff up.
Okay, let's move on.
I just know it was basically my whole point was that it wasn't a high number before Babe Ruth. It wasn't a major part of the game. And Babe Ruth made the home run sexy, made a big part of the game. And then everyone else coming up wanted to hit home runs like Babe Ruth, and the game changed forever. And I think same thing's happening with the 3-point line. And I can make up an example for football also.
If you would like to tell Mark how insane he is, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
You know, when football was first invented, passing wasn't a big part of the game.
You know, players originally, they weren't that into touchdowns. And then Joe Montana and Jerry Rice scored a lot of touchdowns. And then the league was like, you know what? We should get more touchdowns.
You know, at one point in football, it was completely a running game, and there were very few forward passes. And then passing became a big thing, and the league changed. You know, in hockey, they used to not skate. We're getting a lot of facts possibly wrong in this episode. Anyway, you should. Anyway, Phil blames Melo for the triangle not working. So here's the second question. I think Phil and Melo both probably agree that it's time to move on. Do you think the Knicks should have to be able to replace Melo with when they trade him? In other words, we're trading Melo. Do we have to get a guy that's really going to replace what Melo does in the court?
No.
Like, should they be concerned, like, hey, we're losing Melo. We need to draft a small forward?
No, because I mean that would be pretty much the definition of insanity. Hey, we got this player we can't win with. If he leaves, we got to get the exact same player.
Well, not even the exact same player, but people are like, oh, people keep saying like you have to the idea basically being like we have to get Kevin Love, we have to get Blake Griffin, we have to get a guy who's going to be a similar level talent than Melo, or if we get rid of Melo, we have to draft a guy who's going to like take over his role in the team.
Nope, don't agree.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. I think the team needs so much that if we trade Melo, we don't. I guess the argument also is that the Patrick Ewing trade was such a disaster. You traded Ewing. I mean, I guess Patrick Ewing didn't have that many more years left anyway, but you traded him for almost nothing. All the guys that came back were worthless. Can you trade Melo for pieces and call it an okay trade, or else you have to get something really back for him?
I think you're going to have to. I don't think we're going to get this huge haul for him.
And would trading for Kevin Love be a mistake?
I think so, yeah.
Why, Jay?
He's injury prone. He isn't good on defense. Oh, he is a perfect Melo replacement.
Well, yeah. I feel like Kevin Love would be the ideal worst move. Because it would really just be, we really just want to replace his points. We feel like it's Melo himself, the person. That's the problem, not the fact. It'd be still going like, hey, we're not going to rebuild. Let's take another shortcut.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is my major Nick point here is that we could trade Melo, get back. We still try to get back a good haul. Like what we were saying, Jay and I were talking over today over Instant Messenger talking about this. Do you think Justice Winslow and a mid-round, first-round pick would be an okay haul for Melo if they trade him to Miami?
I think we should set our expectations for something like that.
Yeah, I just think the fact that if you're another GM, you're looking at this and saying, hey, the Knicks have been terrible with Melo the last 3 years. He's had some shoulder issues that are maybe fully better, maybe not fully better. His defense has been really suspect, and the team president really wants him gone. Do I really have to give a big haul to get him?
That's before you even consider the fact that he's now 32.
And I have to pay him a ridiculous amount of money to get him because of the trade kicker.
Well, I think the Knicks absorbed the trade kicker amount.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's still a ridiculous amount of money.
Are you sure? Because I thought that was an issue for other teams.
I think that Dolan pays that trade kicker amount if they trade him.
You maybe I don't know. We don't know about much in the show. I have no idea. I thought that was an issue.
No, I think that $25 million a year is the issue.
I mean, Justice Winslow would be a pretty decent guy to get.
Yeah.
He plays solid defense. His offense is not there where you want it to be, but like it could develop. You have to think about ideally you have to think about getting a guy who's young and could develop would be pretty good. I think that'd be a much better getting a guy Kevin Love where like he's probably also sort of like at his prime or near the end of his prime doesn't make sense. But getting a guy maybe that will grow into a really good player would make a lot more sense.
Developing players would be very nice.
And maybe Justice Winslow, maybe they trade him for some guys, and maybe the draft pick doesn't work out. Maybe the young player they get doesn't work out. It doesn't mean the process of trading Melo was wrong. You have to also get the right guys back.
Yeah.
You want to talk about playoffs?
Let's do an email real quick.
Okay.
Sam writes, I think Robin Lopez really helped KP last year, and with him out, he kind of regressed. Also, Tunnel Vision Rose was at a Spurs-Grizzlies game. Do you think the Spurs would be a good fit for him? Wow, we actually already talked about Rose on the Spurs.
Well, I feel like the Spurs. I feel like if he goes to the right team, Rose could be a better player. I mean, if he goes to the Spurs, he'll be forced to play more defense to get on the court, and he'll be forced to play in a system that's the one thing about the Knicks is the system was such a disrespected system. The players didn't take it that seriously. I mean, as much as you want to malign the triangle, if everyone bought into the triangle fully, maybe it would have looked a little bit better. I mean, you really had a team that wasn't fully buying into the system that was trying to be forced upon them. Versus you go San Antonio, everyone buys into the system there because the team has been so freaking successful. It's hard to buy into a system from a team like the Knicks when the team has been so dreadful with the system.
Right.
Do you think Rose could be actually a productive player?
No, I think he's done.
See, I disagree that he couldn't be a productive. Why do you think he's done though? He can play. You agree he can actually be a productive offensive player, right? I mean, outside
Not
of
really.
just
No,
the points
he
category.
drives. I mean, offense is also rebounding and passing, and he can't do that. He does one thing.
Just the fact that he can get to the basket and score is not something that's a worthwhile skill in the NBA.
Not if you can't do anything else.
You see, I feel like as a bench player, which there are people that have dreams of him coming back to the Knicks as a bench player, which I don't think he'll come back to the Knicks as a bench player, but there's a chance that he would go to a team that's so good, like the Spurs, and think, okay, I'll be a bench player on the Spurs because they're such a good team. It's almost like it'd be insulting to be a bench player on the Knicks when they're so bad, but almost an honor to be a bench player on a team like the Spurs when I have a shot at the title.
He's done.
I disagree that he's done. I do think if he goes to a different team next year, he might look decent.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I mean,
All right.
yeah, whatever. I don't want him back on the Knicks, but also the Spurs. There's why this question is pointless is that the chances of Rose being on the Spurs are the same chances of Jay being on the Spurs.
Exactly. So let's go through the playoffs.
What was the first part of the question? The Robin Lopez thing.
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you think KP regressed?
I don't think he regressed. I just don't think he made the leap that we thought he was going to.
Yeah,
I think
that's
he was like almost the same as his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean his defense was better at times, but he did have the help from Lopez. But I feel like he's the kind of he hasn't really grown. That's really what people's issues are. I mean, I know Jay, you were a big proponent of the Robin Lopez trade, so you want to defend it now?
Oh my God.
Jay and I hated the Robin Lopez trade, but
So much.
and at least are you annoyed that it looks like the Celtics will probably win this series now that Rondo's out?
So let's just jump right into that. We'll start with the Celtics Bulls series. Celtics lost.
It's 2-2 now.
I know. Celtics lost the first two games at home. Looked like they were going to get swept in the first round. And then Rondo, who was playing like 2008 Rondo, broke his thumb. And now the Bulls can't seem to do anything.
Yes. Jerry Grant, who was part of that trade also, has not stepped up in Robin Lopez's place.
The only good thing about
Not
that...
Robin Lopez, I mean in Rondo's place. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, the only good thing about that is we now don't have to kill ourselves, because if Jerry Grant all of a sudden turned into a starting caliber point guard, that trade would have looked even worse, and it already looks really bad.
I mean, Grant to me looked like, just from watching, like he seems like a guy that in a couple of years may be a decent point guard. I don't know if he'll be a serviceable starter, but he seems like one of those guys that's going to take a while to develop.
He started today, only played the first 5 minutes, was 0-3 and had a plus-minus of -10, and the Bulls ended up losing by 9.
Yeah. It wasn't helpful having him on the floor.
No, I don't think he'll be starting Game 5.
Do you think if Rondo had played, this wouldn't have been a 4-game series? Like the Celtics would have won a couple. Do you think? I guess do you think if Rondo doesn't get injured, the Celtics still can pull it out, or do you think like?
No, I think they're toast.
I can't. This is so annoying. It would have been so much fun to see the Celtics. Well, not even so much fun. It would have been great to see the Celtics blow this, because then they would have overpaid for Melo. Now that's not happening.
Yeah, I wanted to see the Celtics and the Clippers both lose in the first round so that they make panic trades.
Yeah.
I mean, it still might happen.
I want panic trades so badly. Would you rather have Avery Bradley or Jay Crowder in a Melo trade? I mean, it's part of a larger other players also. I'm not saying that's straight up, but I'm just wondering if you had to choose one of those two guys, who would you rather get back?
Crowder.
Yeah, I agree with that also. I think Bradley might be a little bit overrated on his defense.
I think he's a little overrated on his defense, and he gets injured a lot.
Yeah. Crowder seems like the guy. I mean, that was the guy they were supposed to have gotten. They could have gotten in the Tyson Chandler trade, and Phil even admits that was a mistake. He looks like he'd be a pretty decent guy to get back.
Yeah.
Um,
Imagine we got Crowder instead of Calderon.
No, I don't think it was instead of Calderon. It was instead of I think it might have been instead of Shane Larkin.
Oh,
No,
God.
no, no. It was not the no. It was the draft pick. It was the draft pick used to take the Greek Freak's brother.
Oh,
It was
God.
either take the draft pick or take Jay Crowder, and Phil chose the draft pick, I believe.
Of course he did.
Yeah, because he just didn't have. He didn't have a lot of. Well, it wasn't that he didn't have a lot of faith in Jay Crowder. He said we already have a small forward.
Yeah, because you only need one small forward.
Also, Melo's best position for the last couple of years has not been small forward.
There's that, too.
There's that too.
So do you think the Celtics are going to win the series now?
Yeah, you know they're going to win the series.
Yeah.
You think the Bulls are going to get another game?
Yeah. I think
Does this go 7?
I think it goes 7. I think the Bulls win next game, and then Celtics win the last 2.
Probably. I think Celtics are going to take the next 2. I think without Rondo, I think that was. I mean, Rondo was playing really well, and Rondo. Whatever you want to say, regular season Rondo has the ability to play at an elite level. He just hadn't done it in a while.
Right.
I think there's certain guys also that like you've been in the playoffs enough times that like you're getting older, you don't give full effort in the regular season as much as you should. Like I think Wade, who actually didn't look that great today, Wade can take it to a next level in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been really quiet the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good in the first, whatever. What's the next thing you want to talk? You want to talk about Cleveland, Indiana?
Yeah, might as well get that one over with.
As Cleveland already did. Do you think so? Someone pointed out that Michael Jordan lost 3 times in the first round, and Kobe Bryant lost twice in the first round, and LeBron has never lost in the first round. And like, is this a real like LeBron's maybe better than? Is this like a feather in LeBron's cap that maybe this is something he has over Kobe and Jordan?
That's a trash argument. Look who LeBron's gotten to play in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. This. I mean, he at the end of the playoffs, when he gets to the finals, and maybe even sometimes in the conference finals, he's had some like pretty decent opponents. But the first round, he's had a lot of like easy. I mean, the Eastern Conference has been crap basically with most of the time that when LeBron's been on
Name
his run.
one good first round opponent LeBron has ever had.
I mean, the last time LeBron had really fights in the East was when he was with Cleveland the first time, when Orlando was really good and the Celtics were really good. That's when they had the real playoff series. The East has been garbage since then.
Yeah.
When he left Cleveland to go to Miami. Celtics fell apart. Orlando basically fell apart shortly thereafter, and then since then there really hasn't been a challenger in the East.
Yeah, I mean the best team was probably like Indiana, and they were playing above expectations.
And the Bulls that one year, but then Rose got injured, and that like destroyed the Bulls Cleveland series or Miami series, whatever we were. Was Rose on Miami? Were the Bulls good when LeBron was on Miami? Or was that before then?
I think it was maybe LeBron's first year in Miami, and that was it.
I just remember that he got injured, and that was the end of that. Basically,
yeah.
He hasn't really had the Bulls with Jordan. They had real opponents. They had to go. They had to get through the Celtics. They had to get through the Pistons. It was a tough East to get through. Kobe, I forget who Kobe battled with, but Kobe had real battles also. I mean, they obviously battled with Sacramento. Who else he battled? The Suns. He had real teams to play also.
The Paul George is not looking like a really good teammate.
Why do you say that?
I mean, he's trashing his teammates in the press conference. He's saying he has to take the last shot. And then just to troll him, ESPN put up an infographic that said he's 2 for 31 all time in last shots.
I mean, I don't know if you can call these people teammates anymore, as I think he feels like he played his last game in Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, if he didn't play his last game in Indiana, I feel like that team's getting blown up one way or another.
I mean, the thing about it is Paul George has a lot of talent, and prior to his injury, he looked like a guy that you really wanted to build around, and he still is a pretty good player, but he's not quite as good as he was before. And I don't know, you got to blow that team up. I just don't see the. I'd build around Turner.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't think you want to. Turner's good. I don't know if you want to build around him per se. I would say he's a keep.
Yes, he's the key. Well, I'm saying who else on that team do you want to build around, though? I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's the key. He's the guy on the team that's like he's the guy you got to keep on the team.
Yeah.
And everyone else, like, you could. I think Paul George still has a lot of value. You should trade him now and get that value, and then try to build from there. Because the whole goal is to win a title, and as constituted, you're not getting there right now.
No, definitely not.
So
they're done. That's great. Next series, Washington, Atlanta.
Washington, Atlanta. If you do not care about that series, you're like everyone else.
I mean, Washington's going to win.
Do you think Washington will? Like, who do you think basically is going to be the biggest challenge for Cleveland?
Washington.
Because the argument that the Celtics, if the Celtics will get past the Bulls, do you think the Celtics are a bigger challenge for Cleveland?
No,
I mean they were the number 1 seed.
I think it's Washington. I don't think the Celtics intimidate anybody despite their number 1 seed.
It's crazy. I'm still shocked that they got the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised too.
What do you want to talk about with the Wizards series? I mean, the Wizards got to. You're right. They should be able to challenge. I just don't see them beating Cleveland. I mean, I don't see anyone beating Cleveland. So in the East, anyway. But I don't know. What do you want to say about the series?
Wall's really good. Dwight,
really? You don't say. Dwight Howard's not as good as he used to be.
We're getting some cutting edge analysis on this series. No, I don't really have much to say, but we can move on.
Well, here's a question. So, I thought teams are going in the right direction. So we both agreed that Indiana, we don't see as constituted. They might want to blow some stuff up and like do some rebuilding. The Hawks, if you're the Hawks, do you say? I mean, obviously Howard's not a piece for the future, but you got Schroeder, you got Hardaway. I mean, do you keep building and try to get better and better, or do you blow stuff up?
I think you kind of blow it up because Millsap is 30, 31, and he's the best guy on the team.
Yeah.
Howard is over 30. So I mean, your best guys are past their prime, and they're not going to get out of the first round. So yeah, I think you get rid of those guys. Schroeder's not as good as they thought he was going to be.
No, he's not. He's not bad though. He's just not. And he had a good game today. The other day. I mean, it's 2-1. I mean, they still could come back, but
yeah. I mean, you keep a couple guys, but that team kind of needs a reset.
Because you look at just as far as you look at the Wizards. Obviously, the Wizards are a pretty good team, and you look at where they're heading. You feel like the Wizards. I mean, obviously, if LeBron got injured, they have a decent chance of going to the finals, and you feel like they're a team that the guys are young enough that you'd feel like keep building with this team. We could get to the finals at some point.
Yeah, the Wizards have a trash bench. If they actually had a good bench, they would be contenders.
And you can develop, you can sign the right guys, you can make some small moves that maybe makes the bench better. But you feel, I mean, they're playing Brandon Jennings, their bench is trash.
Yeah.
But you feel like they have a shot. They have a
and
team
Jason
where
Smith is getting big minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they feel like they have a team that you could get to the next level. You have a core that's young and really good.
Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of obvious by their record and the fact they were a pretty good team. But just saying, just to point out the difference between them and the Hawks, the Hawks, I don't see them going anywhere. Wizards, in the future, you'd bet on the Wizards having a decent chance of going to the finals at some point. At some point, LeBron's reign has to end in the East. Next series.
Toronto, Milwaukee.
Yeah, so this is 2-2, right?
Yeah.
And this is the Greek Freaks coming out party.
I think it is. Yeah.
And this is where he's really putting it on the map. Jason Kidd making some sense why he went to Milwaukee. Who's going to pull this out?
I think Milwaukee's going to win this.
I mean, going with the theory of the best player when the teams are pretty even, the team with the best player wins the series. That would be the Greek Freak, right?
Well, it seems like when Toronto wins, it's a close game, and when Milwaukee wins, it's a blowout. So,
which says something also, yes.
Yeah. I mean, going by that, usually the team with the blowouts is going to win the series.
I mean, Toronto had a much better regular season record. They've been here before. Kyle Lowry is a heck of a player, and you could argue that he's up there with Greek Freak, if not the better playoff tested guy, and you have DeRozan on Toronto. At least they have of the top 3 players in the series, 2 of them are on the Raptors, right?
Right.
Ibaka's not making the difference you'd hope he'd be making. But I'm gonna take the Bucks at 7 here.
I think Ibaka's surprisingly on a steep decline already. He's not that old, but it seems like he's fading pretty quick.
I always wonder why do you think he's fading so fast?
I don't know. If you look at his numbers, he's gotten worse like the last 3 years in a row.
I mean, ever since he left Oklahoma, though, like he was good before he left, right? Or
Yeah,
he was declining he was declining before he left.
Yeah, but you would think if you went to a worse team that your numbers would improve.
Right. Well, some ways, like your offensive numbers are enhanced by the fact that the other team has to guard Durant and Westbrook. And in defense, maybe you can do more things because you have other guys around you that, like, you have like a Steven Adams or other guys around you can help you.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. I mean, you could get a lot of padded stats on a bad team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would say if you're looking at blowing things, I think as far as teams on the rise and the teams that are on the decline, looking at the Bucks, we have to both say, I think you agree, they're a team on the rise, right?
Their oldest starter, I think, is 26.
I mean, they have also, like, their point guard starting in the series, Brogdon, is like possible rookie of the year. You got Greek Freak, who's pretty damn young. They look like a team that you have to say also will be fighting the Wizards to take over the East after LeBron's reign is over, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of these series other than the Cavs series, it's 3 matchups of teams on the rise against teams on the decline.
Is it Serai? Or like, how do you say multiple series? You can't say series is.
A murder of series.
Or like deer. Like there are 5 deer or there's 1 deer.
A gaggle of series. A murder of series.
So would you say Toronto's on the decline?
I would say last year was their year. I think they peaked.
Yeah, I wouldn't say blow it up, but I would say you're right that they're not on the rise. I think they're. I don't see them taking the East thing. I think I'd give Wizards and Milwaukee a much better chance going forward.
Yeah, they're not in blow it up mode. They're in like, if the 2 teams that are better than us both have their best guy get injured, we could sneak into the finals mode.
Well, I mean, they really, if LeBron was injured, you would say, oh, they have a decent shot of going to the finals. But I would still take the other teams over them. But maybe Toronto might pull off the series anyway. You never know, right, at this point.
Yeah, it's just the same thing with the Celtics. They're just not scaring anybody.
And you have to say, Jason Kidd, when he bailed in the Nets and went to the Milwaukee, people thought something was wrong with Jason Kidd, but how smart of a move was that?
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, he's just like, bailing my team right away? Yeah, why not? So they had the Greek Freak. And also if people want to talk about finding guys in the draft, Greek Freak, what was he drafted, like 12th?
Yeah.
So that's one of those that shows also Knicks, we can get a all-star level talent at pick 7 or pick 8, wherever we end up picking. So you never really know.
Never know.
You never know. Okay, next series you want to talk about?
All right, let's go West Coast. Golden State Trailblazers. This should be.
Before do you want to do the Beast Report?
Sure, why not?
Can you find the clip?
I can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, we might as well. It's the playoffs. It's Beast time. It's the playoffs.
Get ready for
Taylor's oldest time.
the Beast Report.
Yes, Toronto Raptors, DeMarre Carroll, who has been named the Beast by one of our longtime listeners, a big Toronto Raptors fan, and he put up beastly numbers today for the Raptors. He had 20 minutes played and 2 points scored. Thank you, DeMarre Carroll, for being the Beast.
That was a Beast Report. Thank you. That's turning out to be a mess of a signing.
The Raptors are still decent. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the best signing in the world. Let's moving on. Let's go to the West.
Warriors Blazers.
Okay, we're done with that series.
Yep.
Is that series over yet, or is it?
It's 3-0, and they're not even playing Durant.
So here's a question for you. Do you think when Durant plays, this will mess up the Warriors' chemistry? I'm obviously not like going forward. Like, will this hurt them in any way?
Oh yeah, they're going to be so much worse with a top 5 player in the NBA.
It's tough. We have to integrate one of the best players in the NBA on our team.
Yeah, it'll be very, very tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a little bit of a story though. They're like, well, the Warriors are playing so well without Durant. How are they going to be able to like figure out how to play with him again?
Hey Mark, do you think next season, if the Knicks got LeBron, it would just mess up their chemistry and they would be even worse?
I mean, like, you'd have all those guys that already know the triangle, and LeBron would be like, I don't know how the triangle works, and it would just mess up the chemistry.
Spurs.
You know when the Yankees got Babe Ruth, they were like, we don't need 60 home runs a year. It's going to mess up our chemistry.
we got a good ground rule double thing going.
True story. We don't need to throw forward pass in the NFL. It'll mess up our chemistry. I don't really have much to talk about this. I mean, like, Portland. So, Warriors, we agree, should blow things up. They're going nowhere, right?
Right.
Okay. The Trailblazers. Do you think? What are you thinking of the Trailblazers? Do you blow things up, or you try to press on forward?
No, they don't have any horrendous contracts, and they got a lot of young players. They're just they're in building mode.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Turner's contract does not look like a very good contract.
No, but it's not like crippling.
You could live with it in today's NBA.
Yeah, I mean they got Lillard, McCollum, which is an awesome backcourt.
You overpaid a little bit for Crabbe, but it's not. He's still a good player.
Yeah, and Nurkic could turn out to be a good player. It's unfortunate that he got injured right before the playoffs.
Who got injured right before the playoffs?
Nurkic.
Didn't he just play? He played though.
He played and he didn't play. I think they rushed him back because they said he was sore and that he's not playing for Game 4.
Whatever. I mean, the series was over the immediate, like, when they announced the series. They were like, Portland, thank you for showing up for 4 games. You'll get your playoff checks.
Yeah.
The Warriors are really good. Whatever. I really wish the NBA there was more uncertainty. I wish I wasn't positive the Warriors and the Cavaliers were going to play each other.
Well,
I really prefer not knowing who's going to be in the finals.
Speaking of uncertainty, Spurs Grizzlies.
Are you enjoying this series?
Yeah, that last game was amazing.
I feel like this is one of the better series. I mean, clearly.
I'm shocked that the Grizzlies won 2 already.
Are you shocked though? They always give the Spurs whatever change. They've always given the Spurs a lot of problems.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably one of the worst teams the Spurs could have played. Out of the bottom 4 teams in the West, that was the worst matchup for the Spurs.
It was one of the 4 worst matchups of the bottom 4.
No,
Did you really say that?
No, I said out of the bottom 4, that was the worst matchup.
You said it was one of the worst. As if, like, you're like, I mean, of the 4, I mean, like, that's one of the top 4 worst ones they could have played.
Well, no, at first I was saying one of the worst out of all 7 opponents, but then I changed it to the worst out of the 4.
I mean, this is clearly not a good matchup for the Spurs, and it's not helping that it's going to... I would be shocked, though, if they actually pull this off.
I would, too. I feel like maybe if they were fully healthy, they would have a better chance. That's another reason I'm impressed that they won 2 already.
Oh my God! I mean, every game's going to be close, though.
I would like to thank Chandler Parsons for maybe taking the title of worst contract in the NBA away from Noah.
Really, worse than Noah?
He's making more money and he's playing just about the same amount.
Okay, that's fair enough. You feel like though, if Parsons, it's amazing Parsons got that huge contract. You feel like though, if Parsons, if he actually gets healthy, it'd be a decent guy to get. Like you feel like his ceiling is a lot higher than Noah's is right now.
He's 28 already.
Maybe not. That contract did not work out as well as planned.
No.
By the way, Zach Randolph, is he going to get the title yet of the guy that the Knicks inexplicably gave up on way too fast?
I don't even get it. It's not like he wasn't putting up 2010 on the Knicks.
He was the one that made the least sense of the guys they got rid of fast. He looked good in the Knicks. There was the he's a bad whatever influence, like the whole jailblazer thing. But he didn't do anything in New York that warranted him getting he didn't get arrested while he was in New York.
No, he looked a little chubby, but he averaged 20.5 points and 12.5 rebounds.
And he's pretty much done that ever since they got rid of him.
Actually, it was the most rebounds he's averaged in his entire career.
I didn't understand why they got rid of him so fast. It was part of the clearing space for LeBron, right?
I guess. It's so stupid to like.
What'd they trade him for? Do you remember?
Not offhand. I know it wasn't anybody good. Oh, my mistake. He was averaging 20 and 12 the season they traded him because he only played 11 games for the Knicks that season. He averaged 17.5 and 10.3 for that full season he played with the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean,
which is fine.
He played. He played. He basically was giving you a double every night and pretty good shooting percent. Like he was a solid player then. I'm trying to figure out what they traded him for. I'm gonna look this up real quick to see what they traded him for. After playing 11 games with the Knicks, Randolph was traded to the Clippers along with Marty Collins in exchange for Cuttino Mobley and Tim Thomas, whose careers were like almost over.
You know, Tim Thomas actually played good for one season with the Knicks, and then they threw him out too.
Mobley, like he wasn't. I don't think Mobley was old. Mobley's career though was over shortly thereafter, right?
I don't think he even. I'd be surprised if he played more than 5 games for the Knicks.
I mean, I'm looking at Mobley. Like he said, his career ended in 2008. Was the year the Knicks got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't play for the. Why did they? It was just about clearing cap space. But it wasn't even in like the right year.
Right.
I don't know what the hell they do. I don't even remember what they were doing. If there's someone listening who's a historian who's alive in 2008 and they can remind us why the Knicks got rid of Randolph so fast. Yeah.
And then we traded Tim Thomas to get Larry Hughes.
God. I mean, what in God's name? It never changed with this team. And we're doing the same things right now.
I know. It's crazy.
Tim Hardaway looks pretty good right now. We traded him immediately. Like we got him. He played 2 years. We're like, you'll never develop. I've only been in the league 2 years. It's impossible to get better after 2 years. You're done.
All right. We're running out of time. So Clippers, Jazz.
Okay, Clippers, Jazz. Clippers, Jazz. This series, I was really hoping the Clippers would lose.
I still think they're going to lose.
What's it? Is it 2-2?
I think they're up 2-1, but I think they're going to lose.
Utah is one of the teams that I feel like is an upcoming team that really should just keep developing. They have a shot at being a very good team.
They're playing right now. Gobert is coming back soon. Probably for Game 5.
Gobert's back tonight.
He's back tonight. So, yeah, I think they win the series. Blake Griffin's out for the playoffs.
Paul's a free agent this offseason, right?
I think so.
I mean, he's not coming to the Knicks. I know that. I'm not even. But if they want to keep him, they have to say, here's the money, Paul, and here's what else we're doing to make the team better, right?
Right.
So they have to say, here's the money, Paul, and here's the outlandish trade we made to get Melo.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't have any draft picks till 2021, so I don't even know how they're how it would even work.
I would do that. I would do that.
There's not much to get back from them.
You do that. Look, 2021, Paul's like 37. Griffin and Jordan are probably just always injured. It's probably going to be a great draft pick.
No, but it's also hard to say we're trading Melo, and you won't see a return on this for like 3 years.
Yeah, we'll probably still.
You won't even see the player we're getting for 3 years. I mean, that's a tough move I feel like to make. On the other end, like getting Austin Rivers seems a pretty tough return for Melo. That's why the trade's not going to work out for the Clippers.
It'll be one of those things where we're like, I can't believe we suck again. Holy crap, we got an extra draft pick this year. I forgot about that trade.
Yeah, and this year, I mean, Jamal Crawford's contract comes off the books, so this will be great. Last series or the Houston OKC, one of the more fun series of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been all right. Today was just annoying as hell with both. I mean, Harden and Westbrook both just like jump into the defender and throw a shot up, and they get that foul call all the time. I can't blame them for doing it because the refs call it all the time. But how are you supposed to defend somebody if they can just like basically shove the ball into your chest and say they were shooting?
Yeah, I really kind of hate the whole charging into the guy and then like calling a foul. I wish the NBA would just get rid of those things, and that's like especially Harden. I mean, Westbrook does it a lot also, but both those guys do it. It's just so freaking annoying.
There was a play with Harden where Taj Gibson was covering him, and he wrapped his arm under Gibson's arm and then jacked up a shot. And he did it with his left hand, and he was shooting with his right hand, and he claimed he was shooting, and they got a 3-point call. And the announcers were saying, like, oh, yeah, that's the correct call. I'm like, how is that the correct call?
I mean, if you're the announcer, you should say, that's the correct call according to the letter of the law. The NBA is an awful league. Change the channel now. That's what they should say every time. I don't really understand why the NBA is okay with these kind of things. When you have something that if you were playing street ball and you did that and you were like, well, I get the foul, people would your entire team would actually beat you up.
Yeah, you would go home with a bloody nose. Absolutely.
I mean, it's just absurd.
How about Knicks draft pick Nene going 12 for 12, 28 points?
It's okay. He never really appeared in the Knicks. The Knicks traded him right away, so
still counts.
I don't even pretend he was a Knick. I got rid of him so fast. So here's looking at both these teams. So first, Houston developing. You have to say Houston stay the course. They have a shot of. I mean, they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna be Golden State, but they have a team that you could see going to the finals at some point. Right?
They have a definite shot of losing to the Warriors in the conference finals.
Yes. And maybe Steph Curry gets injured. Maybe who knows? I mean, maybe they go off. They have a team that you want to build with. Thunder. What do you do with the Thunder? You're obviously going to want to re-sign Westbrook, so you kind of have to start building. But is this team going to go anywhere?
I mean, they're not terribly old, and they don't have any terrible contracts, so they can get better.
They need a better bench,
and they need better starters.
So yeah, do you think the team in any way Westbrook's hunt for the triple double hurts the team? I know the team actually looked better, I guess, with the do you think it hurts the team in some way that when Westbrook is not on the court, the team is becomes they all become autistic? Why can't the team needs to learn to play without Westbrook a little bit, right?
I think it just shows how bad they are. I don't think it's they don't know how to play without him. I think they're just bad.
The other night they had the greatest statistic. I think Westbrook played 44 minutes or to 42 minutes, something like that, some number. He was a plus 10, and the Thunder lost by 9.
Yeah,
it was something crazy like that where in the 7 minutes he didn't play that night, they got crushed.
Yeah, no, it was the same thing the other night. They were plus 20 with him on the court and minus 18 with him off. It was crazy.
But you have to say, Oklahoma, if we could convince Melo that Oklahoma is a big city, it would be a great fit there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Another scorer, Melo's would be much better with a good point guard.
He much better with a good point guard. He could score when Westbrook's off the court. And they have assets to trade us back, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who we take back from them yet, but they gotta have some draft picks, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. We can figure some stuff out from them. Okay. Anyone else we're missing here?
Nope.
Okay.
We're at 54 minutes.
Nice.
Facebook.
Well, no, we have to. Oh yeah, we have questions for the show. These are going to be more Knicks related questions. Tristan writes, so if you're new to Dash Radio or if Dash Radio really exists and you're listening, if you want to ask us questions, you can write. We have a Facebook page. We can ask a question on Facebook. There's an email address, Jay.
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We're also NY Knicks Podcast on Twitter, and you can just look up the New York Knicks Podcast on Facebook.
Say people use voicemail. If you want to leave us a voicemail, how would you do it?
631-676-1181, or you can Skype the Brink of Sanity.
Say you wanted to listen to a comedy show by us that has nothing to do with the Knicks. What would you go to?
You could search for the Brink of Sanity in iTunes. Yeah, iTunes.
Okay. Say you stole Jay's ATM card and you wanted to get money out. What PIN would you use? Okay. Tristan writes, should the Knicks, is that no more emails?
No.
Okay, I don't think we had anything on Twitter. Tristan writes, should the Knicks get some kind of kickback from the league for being an equal opportunity employer? They have a senile old man running the team.
They sure do.
Yeah, shouldn't we get like some kind of like half off discount?
We should.
Yeah. Lay writes, or Leigh.
Yeah, Lee.
Okay. Would love to hear about the off-season moves that don't include Melo. 15 on the roster, but the world talks about one. What wing player, small forward, would be a good fit? Would love to see a quality 3 at the Knicks and move Melo to the 4, KP at starting center. You think KP at the starting center, are we sold that that's going to work?
Not yet.
I mean, getting a guy like Lopez next to him was pretty big. And also, if you put him at the center, what are you doing with Hernangomez?
Well, I mean, you could have Hernangomez be a backup.
But Hernangomez looks pretty good. Wouldn't you want to like have a team where you can somehow find a way to have KP and Hernangomez work together?
Well, I mean, they would share minutes too. I mean, each one plays like 32 minutes.
Wouldn't you find some way where the starting lineup includes both? Because like, wouldn't you want both KP and Hernangomez to play 30-plus minutes in the sense of like these are your 2 best young players?
Only if one of them gets a lot better on defense.
Well, it would be great to find a way to make this work. Because they're both really good. They're both young and really, really good. I mean, Hernangomez, he doesn't look like he's going to be an all-star necessarily, but he looks like he can be a very good NBA player.
Yeah.
He's got a nice ceiling.
Anyway, please ask that again on next week's thread because we have to do some research on players. Well, then we have 3 minutes left in this episode.
I don't know. We'll talk more about the free agents in the offseason. Yeah. Spiros writes, Spiros, the Knicks fan, says, hey, guys, so I have a quick story to share. So I heard the news about the Celtics being interested in the trade for Melo. I got pretty excited because we can actually get some value back for him if a trade happens with the Celtics. So I called my friend who's a Bulls fan and tell him that the Bulls better beat the Celtics. Meanwhile, a notification pops up on my phone, Rondo out with fractured thumb, moments after telling my friend about the possibility of a trade happening. And now pretty much my friend hates me because he knows the injury happened because of the Knicks' chances maybe something good happening to them. Anyway, my question is, do you guys remember Serafin? Yeah, he's a ballin' in Indiana, and we gave him no more than 15 minutes of playing time when he was here.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul links us to a Viceland article or Viceland thing about Happy Knicks Day.
I got to watch that.
I didn't really watch it. We'll check it out later, Paul. Jaime writes, sorry. So when Rose resigns with the Knicks, do you think they're going to let him go into a game by himself?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, apparently they trust him enough to even consider.
Do you think if he resigns with the Knicks, plus or minus, inexplicably misses 5 games next year?
I'd say minus, but definitely more than 1.
Jaime writes, Melo to the Celtics, what do you think we'll be able to get for him? I think Phil is going to ask for a first-rounder and Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder and the entire stadium plus a firstborn child.
Yeah, Phil's going to try and oversell it.
I know, and I'm not trading with the Red Sox, but I want their World Series trophies. I want,
I mean, best case scenario, we get like, I don't know, Crowder and one of their picks, but not the Brooklyn pick.
You think of the Knicks package, their first-round pick, and Melo, there's a chance you can get the Nets pick.
No.
No, you don't think there's a chance that they would consider that? Because you're basically swapping the 1 through 3 for pick 7, which is not an insane trade down. Plus, you're getting Melo.
Nope. I think
reasonable.
I think the only way we're getting the number 1 pick is if we trade Porzingis.
I really hope they're not really going to do that. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's a chance. I know some people are talking about that, and like, oh, would you do it if they got the number 1 the Nets pick? It's not happening. They're not trading KP, right?
Right.
I say 100% they're not trading KP. There's no way Phil's going to try to do that. Phil does a lot of insane things, but even he's not that insane to even try to trade KP. Because when that story gets out that he tried to trade KP and they could trade KP, that won't help the locker room.
So we have to end this show for Dash, but we will finish the questions on our regular show. So you can find us on iTunes. Just
Yes, find us on iTunes or whatever whatever you use to download your podcast.
almightyballer.com, the New York Knicks podcast.com. Type in New York Knicks podcast on iTunes.
Any Android application that uses podcasts, we're also on. You just need to look for New York Knicks podcasts. We're usually one of the top rated Knicks podcasts. So you should find us. You'll hear the rest of our content, bonus content, if you would, for free.
You know what? I actually could see Phil trading Porzingis.
Oh, are we starting the bonus content?
Yeah.
Bonus content. Really?
Yeah.
Are you insane?
If you think that, well, think about it. Phil has got a huge ego. What if he thinks Porzingis insulted him and he can't get over it by not showing up to the thing, and he can get Fultz?
Right. I mean, I guess the argument that Fultz has a really high ceiling also, and maybe you're questioning KP's ability to stay healthy.
Yeah. What if you think he's going to have injury issues and you know?
And maybe you're like, oh, KP can't learn the triangle. He's not a learner. I would have to say that would take insane balls on Phil's part, which I know he has. But at the same time, your legacy, the one thing everyone points to is you drafted KP. And you're going to light that on fire.
It might make some actual basketball sense, but from a PR standpoint, Knicks fans would absolutely go apeshit and revolt.
I mean, you also have Fultz has yet to play in the NBA. And to argue that a guy who's yet to play in the NBA is going to be as good as KP is right now, it's hard to even make the argument. People say Fultz is a sure thing, like he's a LeBron sure thing?
Fultz is a sure thing, and then pretty much everyone else is like could be good.
Well, the Ball, I thought people were saying Ball is a pretty sure thing also.
No, I've been hearing that his defense isn't good.
Okay.
At all.
At all. Oh, then the Knicks should get him.
Yeah.
So people are saying Fultz. I'm not even. So you think Fultz is such a? Would you do it? Forget the PR thing. You're Phil. You get to be Phil right now. You get to be a 75-year-old man, or 72-year-old man. You're gonna play with your 72-year-old balls, and you're gonna talk, and you're gonna decide. Would you do it? Forgetting the PR. Would you think it'd be worthwhile trading KP to get Fultz? And also, this is a move you only make once the draft position is locked down. You know the Nets pick is number one.
Exactly.
Like we're not talking about doing it prior. So you know the Nets pick is number one, which doesn't have to be. We'll find out on May 16th. Would you do it?
I would say no, just because he's also like best friends with Hernan Gomez. So if you trade KP, you risk losing Hernan Gomez as well.
Well, Hernan Gomez is under contract. He's not going anywhere. You're saying after his contract. The thing is, if Fultz is this good, then it's worth it. But there's a chance Fultz is not going to be this good.
Right.
I mean, obviously, there's always a chance, but he's never played in the NBA.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't think this is an easy no.
I mean, I understand the idea that. I mean, obviously, if the Knicks got the pick, like on their own to the draft, you take him. But
I mean, I am a little worried about Porzingis' health.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd say. That's the biggest concern about him is his health. I want to see what they're saying on Draft Express. What they're saying about Okay, so
I might do it.
Let's see what they're saying about him here.
Yeah, I don't know. I might. I mean, I'm a huge Porzingis fan, but we haven't had a good point guard since Mark Jackson.
Well, that's not a reason to trade him, though.
Kind of is.
The thing is, it depends on what you really think, how good he can be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have to see like his workouts and stuff.
You're gonna go to his workouts? Is he gonna perform for the show?
I mean, if I was a GM and I had this decision, we should call Fultz. Be like, how good do you think you're gonna be?
Come on the show.
Yeah.
There was so strengths and weaknesses for Fultz. Not that we're having. This is from the Nike Summit scouting report from 2016. So obviously things have changed a little bit. But excellent size, length, frame for a lead guard. Smooth athlete, creative ball handler, tremendous vision, capable spot up and shooter. Weaknesses: streaky shooter, can be a bit loose with the ball, creative ball handler, but a bit like turnovers. High confidence level can result in contested jumpers early in the clock. Not always the most locked in defender, both on and off the ball. Outlook: in a matter of 2 years, Fultz has gone from junior varsity sophomore to arguably the best guard in the 2016 class and potential top pick in the 2017 class. And obviously, he's had a year to look even better. But they say Fultz's trajectory has been remarkable, and there have been signs that the improvement will slow down.
That was a lot of negatives.
Yeah, but guys, I mean, a lot of guys have those negatives also. Yeah. I mean, if you're a creative ball handler, you're also usually a little bit loose with the ball. Yeah. If you're a really great player, you're also highly confident. Probably do some stuff that's not so smart. Yeah. I mean, you look at Michael Jordan. He probably especially early in his career took a lot of contested jumpers. Mm-hmm. I mean, all these things probably were said about like Magic. Like a lot of guys were these things are they're not. These aren't necessarily like really like kill them. I mean, I don't know. I just haven't heard. I haven't like when LeBron was coming out. You were like, you get him, you're locked in. Yeah. Like it was Shaq was coming out. You were like, you get him, this is the guy. And Fultz could be really good, but I don't know if I'm like I haven't been convinced at least by the. So the comparison is on NBA Draft Net. The comparison is to James Harden, D'Angelo Russell. One of those comparisons you really like. The other one you may not like as much. Yeah. Strengths, and this is from 9/27/16, so like 6 months ago or 7 months ago. Strengths, 6'5" combo, and again for the season, 6'5" combo guard with elite level skills and athleticism, ideal size and length for the position, good slashing ability, gets where he wants to off the dribble, blah, blah, blah. Weaknesses, jump shot is improved. He can fill up on the outside, but is a bit of a streaky shooter.
All right, let's move on.
But yeah, this is stupid. This is insane. I'd say I would not do the trade. I understand the reasoning of why you might do the trade because you feel like this guy, if he's so good, it could be worth trading up and getting like it'd be worth building around him instead of KP, I guess. And I wouldn't. Phil's never gonna do this trade though. Never in a million years. I would be outright shocked if he did it. I feel like this would be. There's no way Phil is doing this in my mind. All right. I would be absolutely shocked. This would be more shocking than signing a center that's on the end of his career to a 4 year, $72 million contract. This would be more shocking than that. Okay. What we got here? Jaime also writes, and finally, who do you think is going to take over when Phil leaves?
Allen Houston.
You don't think we try to find someone outside the team?
Nope. Why would we
Martin
do that?
Writes. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
I don't either, but tell me that's not the Knicksiest thing to possibly do.
No, the Knicksiest thing to possibly do is Greg Popovich. Here's $80 million a year to be our GM. No, I wouldn't even mind that one, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's like a big name. It's gonna be like some big name. They're gonna be like, well, Phil can't do it. Let's find a big name that's never been the GM before. They're not gonna find. I don't know who they're gonna get, but it's gonna be someone that's a name that's not gonna make sense. Dow writes. So Martin writes, who should the Knicks draft? What are some players that are going to really late in the draft or possibly going undrafted the Knicks can pick up? Any international players that are looking to come to the NBA that we can look at? Who from the D-League deserves a call-up next season? What are some decent free agent options? It's a lot of question. The French dude. I think I'm on board with the French dude. Nikita?
Yeah. 3 episodes ago, we had a draft expert on, and he was able to provide names for the 43rd and 57th pick.
Yes.
So check that episode out. He explained
probably have him back on
better.
The show in a few weeks.
Yeah, he explained it way better than I could.
But we'll talk more about free agents when it's more relevant. When the offseason coming. Daryl writes, Jay, Mark, is it possible that next year's starting 5 is going to be Melo, Rose, Noah, Porzingis, and Lee? I mean, with all the rumors, I'm starting to think the true Knicks curse will be seeing no change at all. Is it possible? What do you think?
I could
Oh
see
my
that
God.
happening. Can you imagine if we just tried out the same exact lineup?
I mean, you could see like Phil not being impressed enough with the trade value that Melo, because just keeps Melo. You could see, yeah, and Rose would be like, "Well, we were really good with Rose. I mean, it just made sense. I mean, like he's a dynamic scorer. He's MVP. I could see this will work out. We have a really great top five, starting five. We'll just work on the bench.
He just totally forgets this past season.
I could just, Rose, let me do pull-ups off his cock, and it just made sense. Yeah. It's going to be the exact same season over again.
Yep.
Like even with Rose being like having a trial for like a rape he did not commit to start the season. Allegedly commit or not commit. I don't know. Gillum writes, a lot has been said about Melo's value, Phil's comments, etc. My question is, what is Melo's value for himself? In other words, if Melo was an unrestricted free agent this summer, which teams would be interested in him and what contract would they offer?
Unrestricted free agent.
He's only going to a contender, right?
Yes, he's only going to a contender.
A team that was in like Chicago, I can see him possibly going to, but they're not necessarily a contender, but like any team that has to be a team that made the playoffs this year, right?
Yeah. I mean, if he was a free agent, I could see he would probably want at least 15 million.
You don't think he's gonna get like? You think he would accept 15 million? There's no way he's getting less than 20 to 25 million. Like, do you think there'd be a chance Melo would sign under 20 million?
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
yeah. If he is. That's true.
He's unrestricted. Like Phoenix comes in and offers him like a max deal. Someone's going to offer him like close to a max deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I forgot he'd rather gut teams than take a pay cut. So,
Well, I'm just saying he's not going to take 15 to play with the Spurs either. I mean, he's going to take like a high contract.
yeah.
Yeah, and enough someone will do something stupid also, and someone will just find salary cap and do something stupid. It doesn't like if he's an unrestricted free agent, he's getting paid.
Yeah.
Probably a max deal, if not very close to a max deal. But again, it would probably be a team. The most likely suitor would be like a Celtics or a Clippers, who are like on the cusp and need him to put them over. If you're like the Hornets, why are you doing it?
Right.
Gillum writes. He says, let's say the Knicks get lucky and they pick the number 2 pick. Would you trade that pick to the Kings for the number 8 and 10 pick to draft, for example, Isaac and Nikita? I don't know how to pronounce that French dude's name, which would make us one of the longest teams in the league, a la Bucks, and the number one for those two. So would you trade the number 2 pick to get the Kings 8 and 10 pick?
No, but I would do anything past 3.
Anything what? Well, if it's past 3, it's going to be the number 7 pick. The Knicks aren't get the 4th pick. They can only get 1, 2, or 3, or 7.
That's what I mean. I mean, if it's 3, I would do it.
Okay, so you're saying if it's not, because if in 3, you get number 2, who are you picking? Bolt is off the table. You taking Ball?
No, Jackson.
Okay. You think Jackson's worth not like a guy like the other guys like Nikita and Isaac? The team like becomes like getting 2 top 10 guys would be pretty darn good for rebuilding.
Yeah, I have a really good feeling about Jackson.
Fair enough. I mean, Jackson looks pretty good. I forgot about Jackson. I would probably take him number 2 also if I'm the Knicks. I don't know. Ball looks. Yeah, I'd probably take him number 2. But number 3 you would do it, and so I guess obviously number 1 pick you would not do that.
Right.
Would you trade the 1 pick for say the 3 pick if you can get like some other like they threw something out, whoever the team is threw in some other stuff for it? Like, are you willing to like if you got the number 1 pick for Fultz, would you be willing to trade that for? Would you entertain a trade? Like for the top, like swapping it out for 2 or 3, and then getting something else, some other like big asset.
I would listen. Yeah,
fair enough. Gillum writes. Now that Melo might be open to being traded to more teams, I have a couple trade proposals. And you think Phil's old strategy, I think I talked about this before briefly. His strategy was not to like reduce Melo's trade value, but to open Melo up to being traded to more teams.
I could see that being Phil's strategy. It didn't work, but I could see that being his strategy.
You don't think it worked? You don't think Melo's open to more teams now?
Well, okay, it worked, but there was also a lot of collateral damage.
I mean, that's totally fair. But I mean, like before, the idea was that he was open to Cleveland, the Clippers, the maybe the Celtics. There weren't many teams, and now maybe like he's open to a Miami or some other playoff team or Chicago or like a bunch of other teams. Maybe that makes it worth maybe the collateral damage. Trying to look at the glass half full here thing.
We'll know in a couple months.
Okay. So anyhow, here are the trades that Gillum proposed. Melo, Lee, and Lance to Portland for Crabbe, Evan Turner, and a late 2017 first-round pick, Cleveland or Memphis, to New York.
I don't like
know.
that.
I don't like that at all. I don't think. I mean, you're saying here that the centerpiece around getting hit, the centerpiece in this trade is Crabbe, I guess, right?
I guess.
The latest first-round pick is not the most valuable pick in the world. And you feel like Lee on his own could get you a late first-round pick, possibly.
Yeah.
Arguably, Courtney Lee could get you a late first-round pick. So I don't see why. Like you can see Cleveland trading their first-round pick to get a Courtney Lee to help like strengthen their title run.
Right.
I don't see this trade at all. Melo to Atlanta, Bazemore, Ilyasova, and the 2017 Nets second-round pick, or the Minnesota 2018 first-round pick, lottery protected, to New York.
Getting warmer. Bazemore fell off a cliff this year, so I don't know. If you asked me that last year, I probably would have said yes.
Yeah, I don't love this. I mean, Ilyasova would be a pretty good guy to get.
The sad thing is these are probably more realistic trade scenarios than what everyone else is proposing.
I would agree with that also. I just don't think you're going to get like the idea. I know Phil is saying he wants a serious return, but the idea they're going to get a really serious return just doesn't seem
serious.
Yeah. Gillum, right? The best thing of all is if he expands the teams, then you can get like a little bit of a trade war going or like a competition. Then you might get better players.
Yeah.
If he's locked in and like saying, well, I'm only going to go to like Cleveland and Clippers, and that's your only trade options, in some ways you might as well just keep him because you're getting so little.
Yeah.
Because I really don't think the 2021 draft pick is going to be that great of a pick to get. I mean, obviously I agree with you. In 2021, I'll be happy I have that pick, but that's a long time from now. Gillum writes, if the Knicks ran more pure triangle late in the season, they seemed to enjoy it and got some wins. Melo didn't play much during those games. When Woj, Yahoo reporter, says the players don't like it, I don't know why, but I suspect who might be leaking that info. And watching the games, I'm not sure I truly believe it. A few players don't, but many don't at all. Don't mind at all. In other words, is there any doubt Melo made those leaks to Woj? And do you believe KP, Willie, Baker, Lee, Holiday, Kuz, etc., also don't want to play in the triangle?
I don't know. I took from Woj's post that it was a lot of players that weren't into it.
That's what I took also. I mean, like it could have easily been Rose also be the leak to the Woj. I mean, Rose seemed like he was totally not on board with the triangle. I mean,
yeah.
He described it as being random. I get my points off of randomness.
Right.
I mean, he did not seem like he was into it at all. It seems like if anything, Rose thinks the triangle hurt his like free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the sense also like KP wouldn't have skipped this meeting if KP was like the triangle works and Melo's the problem.
Yeah.
I feel like KP also just felt like there's a lot of dysfunction going on and the triangle's not helping. I mean, they didn't look bad with it, and all those guys maybe they would adapt to it. Lee also didn't seem like. I don't know. Lee's comments early in the season when he said, like, we're not practicing defense didn't sound like he was like he seemed to think there was chaos going on here also. Yeah, I think there's more. I feel like more. I think it's not necessarily even the triangle. It's the way it's been going about. I think is a bigger issue for a lot of players.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't have your GM trying to be your coach. And I think that's the bigger issue here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that even though the Knicks aren't in the playoffs, pretty much every team has a Knick on it, so you can still kind of follow the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, you can pretend they're all still in the Knicks, and you just follow that. We learned that Jay, after being in love with a unicorn, is now ready to swap him out with the new hot thing.
I mean, it's not that I hate.
Ooh, I love KP, but Fultz, ooh, he's so sexy. No, I understand that being a like, it wouldn't be a horrible move to make. It would be actually be like legitimately, like it'd be like, oh, I mean, you should believe in this guy more. It'd be a realistic thing to do. It would just be like, it would also seem kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it would. It's a big balls decision.
It would take a lot of balls to do that. And I understand there's some things you're worried about with KP. It's mostly like, is he going to play 82 games for you ever?
Right. Because, I mean, 7'3" guys usually don't. A lot of times they have foot problems.
But I feel like KP also is still, like, they still haven't figured out how to quite use him. And once you have a real system established here where the players are buying into it, KP will look a lot better.
Yeah, I'm just worried about, like, getting the next Yao.
Yeah, it was pretty good for a couple of years, though.
He was, but do you really want to build your franchise off of a guy who's good for like 4 years?
Well, so KP's 7'3". I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7'2". I think he played a couple of years in the NBA.
He might have, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he ends up playing like.
Although I think Porzingis already missed more games than Kareem.
That can't be true, is it?
Kareem hardly missed any games.
Wow. Do you think? So here's an issue. So I don't even have I understand there's an issue with KP skipping out on the Phil exit meeting with Phil, and you want to say he made a power play and blah blah, and Phil's dysfunction related to the fact that Phil's having the young star miss out on this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to do like this Latvia thing. He's not coming back till supposedly back to like September in the U.S. A bigger issue, should the Knicks have like a plan for developing KP in the offseason, and like that plan that like KP's following? Like, you know how they used to have the guys like work out with like Elijah Wan? Shouldn't there be something where they have a program like how to better him in the offseason? Something.
Yeah.
I wish they had more like they had an offseason plan where he's going to develop a jump hook or like a sky hook like a la Kareem. Just something like, or work on his defense with doing some weeks with Elijah. Something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems weird that there's no like all-season plan that we're gonna have KP follow with the Knicks because he's our star and we want to make sure we're developing him, doing the most to develop him in the offseason.
Yeah, but that would make sense.
Okay. What else we learned today, Jay?
In case you were wondering, Kareem played at least 76 games in 17 out of his 20 seasons.
Well, that's holy crap territory.
Yeah.
Not to get all Phil on you, buddy. Kareem didn't shoot a lot of threes.
That is true.
I mean, it's like they didn't even exist most of the time he played.
He didn't shoot any threes for the first 8 years of his career.
Yeah, Kareem did not seem to believe in the three. He didn't think he needed a stretch player. Just saying. One of the greatest players ever. We also learned that the playoffs are going on. The Knicks are not in the playoffs. Lots of entertaining things are going on in the playoffs, but it's going to be the same result.
Kareem had one career three.
Okay. Did he make it or miss it, or do you have to tune in next week?
No, I mean, he made one. He was 1 for 18 for his career.
Oh, so he wasn't good from the three. So maybe Kareem should have spent his off seasons working on the three.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week.
Yeah.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You say that go away.
I'm gonna leave.